Social media is full of steak marinating videos. Some good, some bad, some completely ridiculous. So we're getting a pro chef to test 20 of them, from classic to viral, with some proper curveballs along the way. We want to find out whether marinating steak is worthwhile, what works and why, before whittling that list down to find the very best one.
And the first one is viral.
Number one, Coke.
And we're going to pour the Coke over. So 24 hours.
24 hours, and supposedly the phosphoric acid from the cola is going to tenderize the meat, and the sugar is going to give it a high caramelization during the Maillard browning during cooking.
Maillard.
I know, but I said it because of
Maillard.
Yes.
Right, yeah. I think that'll burn. Don't know about the tenderization, acid, curing, but the amount of sugar in there, that's going to maybe catch fire in the pan, which would be fun.
Steak 2, pickle juice.
Oh, it's got you all over it. I think we'll leave this for an hour. So the acid and the salt in this brine will penetrate the meat and break its fibers down and make it look cooked. It'll go grey if we leave it too long. Yeah. So an hour in there should be sufficient.
So at its most basic level, a marinade is essentially a seasoned liquid mixture that food, usually meat, poultry or fish, soaks in before it hits the heat. Its purpose is to tenderize and or impart flavour. This typically happens using salt, the only ingredient that when dissolved is small enough on a molecular level to penetrate seasoning deep into the meat, acid or enzymes, which tenderize the surface layers, and thirdly, aromatics and oils, herbs, spices, garlic, sugars, oils, etc. These coat the surface layers with flavour. Can I get a neck massage?
Next.
Number 3, honey.
There are two things that could happen. The sugar could act like a cure, like salt does, and pull the juices out. And then through osmosis, that high sugar content might go back in. I say might, because that works with salt.
So the steak lad submerges, what a great name.
What name?
The steak lad submerges his steak in honey for 7 days.
We don't have 7 days. So
okay.
24 hours.
24 hours.
24 hours. And by the way, if we say 24 hours, it means that I marinated them yesterday for 24 hours.
Steak number 4, mayonnaise.
Oh.
You can see exactly why these kind of things go viral, because that image that we're about to get of a steak covered in mayo just looks completely ridiculous.
Like, this should benefit through the fact that it's seasoned, where no salt, a bit of salt, no salt. It's high in fat. All the pores will be covered in fat when it caramelizes. So
we have 20 sirloin steaks ordered from the same supermarket on the same day. And that's about as scientific as this gets, because they're not going to be from the same cow. And so they are all going to have their own individual differences to them. But this is as much as we could do. Steak number 5, koji.
Ingredients: rice koji, water, salt and alcohol. So this is the liquidy, almost rice pudding textured version, but you can buy just the straight rice. And again, Guga covered steaks in the straight rice and left them for, I think, an hour, a day, a week, and a bit longer. We're going with 24 hours with the liquid form of. This one I'm really interested in. I don't think ever had koji cured or enhanced or matured anything. And I love finding out new things about food.
5 steaks, 5 viral marinades. Shall we cook?
After 24 hours, the Coke, as with all the steaks, about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes per side, and then to rest. All right. Number 2's on.
I love this.
Number 2. This was the pickle juice steak that only had an hour marinating. And it looked like this. It's very pale, because it was a wet marinade, right?
Yeah.
These have been cooked on full heat, neutral oil, no seasoning. Because some of the marinades naturally have salt in them, so I didn't want to add salt to every single one. Yeah. You can always sprinkle a bit later.
Yeah.
So number 3, honey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can see.
That has Maillarded hard, hasn't it?
That's caramelised. Oh, number 4, mayonnaise. Got a lovely crust on it. I think those proteins have been working. And number 5. Oh, that's got a lot of colour on it. Koji. Maybe the spores have broken down the protein and allowed it to generate that Maillard reaction.
I've just realised we've done this camera facing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just flip reverse it.
Like this.
Much better.
Put a mirror there.
Yeah. Coke.
I'm expecting a sweet outside, but really kind of a wet finish.
Lovely caramelisation on the outside.
I wouldn't say so.
No?
I'd say really uneven. Like you've got low spots that haven't coloured at all, then the high spots have charred a bit too much.
The juice is Coke.
The juice is warm, diluted meaty Coke.
That's quite odd, actually, to have steak that tastes of cola, but only when you bite into it and you get the juices from the steak. I expected to like that more than I do.
I think with a gammon that's been salted and has some more age to it, and it's pork, which can take a bit more, that works. But marinating anything in that much liquid, we're always gonna find it challenging.
What we're going to do is pick our favourite from each category. That's then going to give us 4 winners, and then we'll find the actual winner from those top 4.
Number 2, pickle juice.
Pickle juice. I'm expecting from really sweet to go to very salty.
It's cooked through a lot more, it seems.
It has.
But that could be the vinegar acting as the cure.
Cheers.
It tastes like a pickled cucumber.
Like the Coke tasted of Coke and it wasn't right in your head, this feels much more right because it's more Reuben.
It tastes like a really good burger has been squeezed into my mouth.
Yeah.
That could be worked upon. We could have something.
I'm a fan of that.
I'm a fan of that.
I'm a fan of that.
Right, number 3, I'm gonna guess honey.
Honey.
Honey. Instantly, that's a crust.
Yeah.
But is that a crust from burnt sugar or caramelization? That's cooked a lot more evenly almost.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's like it's hyper rested. I think that might be the fact that it's slightly cured. Like it's drawn out the moisture, so it's a more dense steak. The heat's gone through it a bit quicker.
Big honey flavour. Drier steak makes it tougher, much longer to
Go through. But I think the flavour and that browning, that extreme browning, outweighs the negative of it being a bit drier. Mayo, again, a crust, really even browning. All I hope for is that some of the salt from the mayonnaise has come through into the steak. A really even cook again, but then we've simply pan-fried and let it rest.
Oh, there's a richness there.
Even though we used a bit of oil in the pan as well, like we did with all of them.
Yeah.
It's fattier.
I like that. I would never be able to tell you that that was mayonnaise.
Right, and then the big one, lovely crust straight away on both sides.
Yeah.
Like nice and dark. We're looking for a more pronounced depth of flavour because koji is meant to accelerate the aging process. Looks like tuna.
It does look like tuna steak.
Yeah.
But this was definitely cooked the same time, way.
Falling apart almost. The myth and legend be true. That's amazing.
That is unbelievable. The texture is unlike any steak that I've had before. It does have that flaky tuna steak, raw tuna steak element to it.
The concentrated flavour.
Yeah.
Akin to something that's been hanging in a salt chamber for a long time.
So at the end of round 1, what takes your win?
Let's reach out together because I think we're so in sync.
1,
3, 2, 1.
Koji.
Koji.
That was spectacular, although I have to give a special mention to pickle because that really surprised me how much I liked it. So, Koji sets the bar early, winning the viral category and going through to the final 4. Category number 2, community suggestions. These are the things that you said you either really, really want to try or the ones that you already do at home regularly and want us to try to see how good they are.
You did this.
Steak 6, oyster sauce.
Oyster sauce. Thick and viscous and rich in terms of flavour, so it should stick to the steak. Also contains sugar and salt. But again, the sugar might make it burn, but less compared to the honey.
Steak 7, buttermilk.
And we're
classically known for chicken breasts. And we all know that you do that because it helps to denature the proteins, makes for a better texture and eating experience.
I don't know if that's going to have enough power to tenderise beef. I think it might just be a wet steak.
Steak number 8, and I don't know what you were thinking. Baked beans. They are haricot beans in a rich tomato sauce, and they are a British staple. Supposedly, from what we've researched, the tomato base and the molasses in the baked beans contains natural acids, which makes it great for breaking down muscle fibres. But also, there's so much flavour going on in the baked beans from the garlic and the dried mustard and the onion powder, the smoked paprika. Like that could work. Steak number 9, kimchi.
So we've got a naturally fermented live kimchi.
Okay.
So this hasn't been pasteurized, like the ones you get in some packets. It has to be refrigerated.
So Max, the meat guy, has a video on this. He marinates for 10 days. But we also found other people doing it for 2 hours.
So that's where all the live, good, fermenty bacteria and the salt will be.
Well, the lactic acid, the savoury compounds that act as a natural flavour booster. So it should intensify that beefy flavour.
And last but not least, I'm guessing it's our good old friend Guinness.
Steak number 10, Guinness.
We will, and I have, scraped off the excess marinade and dabbed them dry a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to boil it.
You get steak and ale stews and steak and Guinness pies and stews and that kind of thing. So the flavours work together, but that's not a sear, a hard cook.
No, those are braises, slow cooked, and enough time for the flavours of the Guinness and the gravy granules and all that stuff to, meld.
But does the marinade do that job for us in terms of time?
Well, we're doing 24 hours again. I'd like a bit of the Guinness flavour, some of the malty notes, but I don't want it to be too bitter.
Let's do this.
All of these steaks have been cooked the same. Hot pan, bit of oil, no seasoning, about 2 minutes in total with constant flipping and then rested for about 5-10 minutes.
The thing is, you don't need to see us cooking all 20 steaks, so it's been done.
You want to see us eating all 20 steaks.
Number 6, oyster sauce.
Look
Dark.
at that colour.
Yeah.
Dark, but I wouldn't say overly dark, quite even on both sides.
Do you know what? It's not a smack you around the face flavour,
No.
but it is a very subtle but very identifiable oyster sauce flavour to that.
I'm really happy that the seasoning has travelled, it feels like all the way through, but the crust on the outside has enough flavour to season the centre even if it hasn't. And that's because, the salt, the concentrated oyster in there, is all acting to benefit the protein of the steak. Flavour-wise, that is ticking the boxes for me.
That is a really lovely flavour. Buttermilk.
Buttermilk. It just feels flabbier and wetter, and the knife almost bounces off it. It doesn't slide through easily. It's very shiny inside as well. Very shiny. Wet steak.
Really wet and a very watery, actually, flavour.
It's a very diluted beef flavour. Everything people do to steak to get it to taste more, dry aging, wet aging, maturing, hanging, all those words, is the opposite of what we've done there.
Yeah. Steak number 8, baked beans.
Oh. It feels very tough. It's nearly all grey all the way through.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. No.
It's so dry. I can't chew it. Awful.
Horrid. It's turned the steak into a bit of leathery rubber.
That tastes of baked beans.
Yeah. Yeah, the amount of sugar in there and the amount of salt in there has basically just drawn out all the juice.
Steak number 9, kimchi. Oh my gosh, look at the inside.
What? Again, it's got that almost raw tuna look to it.
Yeah, it does. Do I like that? I don't know if I like that.
It's a bit sweet, it's a bit salty, it's a bit pickly. It's very soft, but not in the nicest way.
No. What you're getting is the fermented part of the kimchi without the flavour of kimchi.
Yeah, and fermented beef isn't a sentence you ever want to think about.
No.
So I love kimchi, and I like steak, not as one. And last but not least, our good friend,
Mr. Guinness.
Mr. Guinness. What do we have here? We have a very, very thin bit of pink in the middle. It looks like it's almost dried out the meat inside.
Yeah. Instant hit of Guinness flavour. Like, it hasn't burnt and caramelised the Guinness, which is what it's done previously when we've cooked with it. A little bit like the Coke.
Yep.
As soon as you're biting into it and you're getting the juices flowing, that's a Guinness juice.
Yeah, because it hasn't got any of that sweetness of Coke, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
That might work if you had a really big, thick ribeye, served it with a sauce and accompaniments that complement it.
Time to pick a favourite.
I'm gonna go rogue here, and I'm gonna say oyster sauce.
That's really interesting because I actually thought oyster sauce 100%.
Yeah.
Oyster sauce takes the community category and its place in the final 4. Now we move on to classics. Category number 3, traditional marinades from different countries. So I suppose we're not really looking to see whether these ones work or not. We're just going to try and find which one's our favourite. Steak number 11, bulgogi from Korea.
So bulgogi marinade, a soy, pear, sugar, garlic, onion, tiny bit of ginger blend. That's very traditional on thinly sliced beef. That's then cooked over the barbecue or on a flat top.
And the pear is the thing that really helps this, right, in terms of denaturing the proteins.
It does on thin steak, but the enzymes in pear are quite weak in comparison to other things.
Okay.
So I'm thinking we're going to get a lot of seasoning, umami, sugar from this rather than too much tenderizing.
Steak number 12, chimichurri from Argentina. Not a marinade, it's a sauce.
That's what some people say.
Right.
But thorough research by the production team have found that people do marinate their steaks in chimichurri and then eat it with more chimichurri. And Argentinians know beef. Yeah. Massive producers of high quality beef that's exported globally, and it's part of their main diet and cuisine. So chimichurri, all the usual suspects, which are
oil, garlic, red wine vinegar, herbs.
Lovely and zesty, keeps its colour quite well. You'd think red wine vinegar would make the herbs go brown, but the oil is helping combat that. I think that'll taste delicious, because even if I wipe all the marinade off, you'll still get little pockets of the chili and the garlic in there. I am a bit worried about the vinegar drawing too much moisture out and like curing it and making it a bit pickly. I think it might work. I think we'll do 3 hours on this, just for that reason.
Steak 13, we're heading to the USA and bourbon. Jim Beam,
Yep.
the first spirit we're using, you've completely submerged that.
Well, these two marinades have oil in them and they're relatively thick and viscous, so they'll naturally just coat the beef. All of this stuff, not touching the beef, isn't doing anything. But trying to pour Jim Beam onto a steak on a plate, it's going to run off and it might not touch all the pores, so just to be sure. Next.
Steak 14, lemon myrtle from Australia. Lemon myrtle leaf, so it's a herb. So lemon myrtle contains the highest natural concentration of citral, up to 98% of any plant.
Wow.
So supposedly the natural fruit acids in the leaf help to break down tough muscle fibres and results in a softer steak.
So this has been blitzed up with some garlic, lemon zest and lemon juice, olive oil and salt. So because it's got that acid in it, we're going to go the chimichurri method of about 3 hours.
Okay.
We don't want to kill that. And that's what they say to do in Australia. Just coating it again. I'm not going to submerge it because it'd be a waste.
Steak number 15, and this is something I have never heard of before, shallopin steak, which is Japanese, buried in finely chopped or grated salted onion overnight. It's a tenderized onion marinated beef dish from Japan's Yoshoku cuisine, which is their Western style. It was invented in 1936 at Tokyo's Imperial Hotel.
Fantastic.
For visiting Russian opera singer Fyodor Shaliapin, hence the name, who was suffering a terrible toothache at the time and requested an extra soft steak.
So they use the tenderizing natures of onion and salt to tenderize a steak.
Yeah. 5 more steaks marinated. Let's cook and eat. Steak 11.
Right, bulgogi. This should be delicious. This goes on beef in Korea and normally barbecued, so
Should be
thinner slices.
Yeah, a very familiar taste.
Smells like bulgogi.
Smells like bulgogi.
A very gentle, mild flavour. Not the traditional thinly sliced beef covered in the marinade and then all charred and cooked to get that flavour all the way through it.
No, it's not. The texture is different, though. It's got a little bit more of a bite to it, I'd say.
I think that's again down to the salt and sugar in here, drawing out the excess juice, but concentrating that beef flavour. Number 12.
Chimichurri.
So you can see a bit of green still and like a bit of burnt herb. Oh, straight away, a nice juicy bit of beef. But we've run out of pink in this one.
We have.
It smells great. That's great.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, you're picking up on the vinegar, the herbs, the bit of chili.
The garlic.
The garlic.
Yeah.
I think this would work really well with a larger, thicker piece of beef. I might do that.
There we go.
That's got my seal of
That's
approval.
great.
That's delicious.
Bourbon.
I failed to get a dark crust on it because I couldn't.
Interesting.
It was a very wet steak that looked like this when it came out of the marinade, and now it looks like this.
Definitely lightened up the colour, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That is a very dry, tough, alcoholic. Really boozy. I would go as far as saying that is unpleasant.
Yeah.
Australia's lemon myrtle.
Crust. This was lemon myrtle, olive oil, garlic, bit of lemon juice, lemon zest.
Very chimichurri in style.
In style, but different kind of acid. Lemon juice versus red wine vinegar, so a lot milder acid.
It's a potpourri steak.
It's a lemon verbena potpourri.
Yeah. Like a summery steak and a light steak meal, like a salad, I think works really, really well. Steak 15, shallopin steak. You know when you put like grated onion straight into a pan? That has got that smell to it.
But the flavour, so beefy, but also the caramelised onion without too much of the sugar.
And yeah, exactly. You don't have the sweetness of the onion, but you have actually a little bit of the heat from onion.
A very tender steak.
Very tender.
That is a great base for so many things. Let's pick a winner from the traditional round, shallot pin from Japan.
I'm happy to stick with the shallot pin.
That makes it a lot easier for the end of the video.
It does, doesn't it? Shallot pin, but proper special mention to marinating in chimichurri. Shallot pin takes the win with one final category to fill our last space in the final 4. For the final round, we're doing some sorted specials, which are basically things we've always wanted to try.
Things we want to learn about with you.
Dish number 16, cocoa coffee.
This came to me because the cocoa and coffee is used in some barbecue rubs in the US.
Yep.
With beef, right? So will it work on a steak? This is the first fully dry marinade we're doing. It's a rub, but it's still marinating the steak. Hopefully this gives you bitter, but in a good way. Roasty, toasty caramel notes, and a nice crust on the outside. And that one, 24 hours.
Steak number 17, green papaya.
Green papaya is used a lot as a tenderising agent in Southeast Asia, South Asia, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, because it contains the enzyme papain, but it's such a powerful tenderizer. If you ever go to a restaurant, an Indian restaurant, and the grilled meats are like eating sponge, it means they've used tenderising agent, which is the chemical compound in this. That 24 hours would fall apart in your hands.
Wow.
So we're doing 1 hour.
Steak number 18, and I think this is you having a bit of fun now.
Right.
Knorr chicken powder.
I love this stuff. It is a milk powder based seasoning that contains 3 flavour enhancers, one of them being MSG, the others being ones that I can't pronounce, but the ones that are so punchy, you need like a microgram of them.
Because it's not wet,
Yeah.
is it going to have a different effect?
Yes, it should be a very concentrated amount. Like we'll brush off the excess, leave it in the fridge overnight, or I think it'll act like a dry brine, which we do on thick steaks when we reverse sear them, don't we, Jamie?
Our penultimate steak, number 19, we're going for buldak hot sauce.
We know that this is a hard thing to stomach in Poker Face because it is so salty, it's full of MSG, chicken seasoning, but it's got a lot of fat in it, and that coats your palate. So I'll look at that instantly. It's adding colour and shine to it. I'm looking for the salt and the seasoning and that chili to be, to disappear into the beef. And finalement,
to finish us off with steak number 20, we're going for smoked oil and salt.
So this is one that I know should work.
Well, yeah, because the smoke sometimes comes from cooking over charcoal or on a grill or something like that. So to add that in the oiling process.
And the salt, hopefully, will give it a little bit of a dry brine. We'll take some of that smoke flavour into it. Look at the colour on that. British rapeseed oil, cold pressed, fantastic product, really good for you, from a seed. That has been smoked. So when you cook your steak, you're getting that little bit of oak smoke flavour in a frying pan. For
the final time, let's cook and let's eat. Number 16 of Sorted's choice, cocoa coffee.
Got a dark crust. Other side, less dark. That's even.
So it's got a great cook on it.
Cheers. It takes a couple of chews and then suddenly you've got this
bitter coffee.
Bitter coffee.
Yeah.
But with a caramel aftertaste of chocolate.
Still left with a lot of bitter coffee. What I think that would need is, much like a mocha, they don't use cocoa powder, they use like
drinking chocolate. Yeah.
So I think it needs a bit more sweetness added to it.
I can see why you use coffee in rubs of large hunks of big bits of fatty beef.
But it's balanced out.
It's balanced out with everything else.
Yeah.
Number 17.
Green papaya. Oh, your finger goes right through that. Just tearing it apart.
Not pappy.
No, but it goes slightly mushy.
Yeah.
There's a hint of flavour there, but not very strong. I'd never be able to identify papaya.
We're not looking for any flavour, really. Green papaya flesh is pretty much flavourless. It's all about the texture when you're using it in a salad, which after an hour has done its job.
Your beloved Knorr chicken powder. It's really, really caramelised. Shall we use the word caramelised?
Yeah, it does look very dry.
Yeah.
Like you can see the penetration of the chemicals and the salt and the flavour enhancers and the palm fat and the sugar and the yeast extract and the chicken.
an unusual flavour.
Yeah. It's very chickeny beef.
Why does this beef taste of chicken?
And the more you eat it, oh no, it makes your mouth really wet inside, which enhances that umami. Direct contact with Knorr chicken powder on steak, not necessarily a bad thing.
But also not necessarily the best thing.
No.
Oh God.
Yes!
Steak number 19, buldak.
Tell me that doesn't look delicious.
It does look fantastic.
Slicked, caramelized, with a little red blush to it.
It's got a lovely glisten.
Oh, it's got a really lovely glisten.
Cheers.
Cheers.
There it is.
There it is.
Right,
Wow.
because my initial question was, where's the spice gone?
Where's it gone?
But it's there, it's on a 5-second delay.
It's balancing the char and the sweetness, and with a little tickle of chili at the back of the throat.
Yeah.
Which is really nice, I think.
I like the tang
Yep.
on the tongue.
And it is seasoned because
It is
of
seasoned.
copious amounts of salt and stuff in it. Finally,
We've made it to 20 steaks. Steak number 20, smoked oil and salt. Feel like we've finished on an incredibly classic steak.
Yep.
With just a lick of smoke. Yeah.
that delicate nuance of pigginess that you associate with smoky pork.
It's absolutely delicious, but I didn't expect anything less.
Oh, I'm torn between buldak and smoked oil. I knew that was going to work, therefore buldak wins for me.
That is exactly what I was thinking. It's too obvious
Yep.
to go for the smoked oil, or I think we have to go for the buldak.
Buldak hot sauce.
Right, mate, we've got a decision to make. We need to rank our top 4. So, buldak takes the salted category, which gives us our final 4 marinades. But only one can be crowned overall winner. From 20 marinated steaks, we have narrowed it down to our favourite 4, and now we need to rank them. 4th place for me would be the oyster sauce.
Agreed, because it wasn't a revelation.
No, exactly. It was absolutely fantastic, but I kind of expected it to work.
Yes.
In 3rd place, for me, I'm saying buldak.
Oh.
Because it was a surprise.
Yes.
And it added the flavour and a little bit of the spice.
Yeah.
Don't think it was the best here.
Right. I really like the buldak, but it didn't lend itself to the steak as well as these two. So yes, fine.
I think we have to pick 1st place.
All right.
It would give us 2nd place automatically.
Hold hands.
1st place goes to Koji.
Yes, Koji.
Koji.
Koji wins, putting Jalapin second.
So there you have it. After 20 steaks, 20 marinades, and 1 onset of gout, Koji takes the crown. The Jalapin was such a revelation. It was so simple.
Whereas Koji gave so many different layers to the steak, texture, it mimicked the dry aging process, and I'd love to see what it's like after a week.
Well, there you go. If you enjoyed any of that or found it valuable, please give the video a like. We're aiming for 15,000 likes on every video, back to back to back to back to back to back, because it actually does make a difference. And please comment down below with all of your thoughts and opinions on everything that you've seen today.